On this episode of the Nationwide Real Estate Mastery Podcast, we sat down with Alec Schaal to uncover exactly how to wholesale with the right mindset in today's market. Welcome to the Nationwide Real Estate Mastery Podcast, where we provide actionable steps to help you get your first or next real estate deal. Now, during this episode, you're going to discover exactly how to wholesale with the right mindset in today's market using social media. For those of you who are new to the show, my name is Shaun Young, today's host, and I love all things real estate. Now, before I introduce you to our incredible guest speaker today, I want to make a request that if at any point during the show you like what you're hearing, please give us a thumbs up or subscribe to the show so that you never miss an episode. And make sure to take a look in the description of this episode, as we've packed it with thousands of dollars in free resources. Now, today, we have the privilege to learn from a man who is consistently doing six figures yearly. Prior to his career in real estate, he was working a W-2 job in sales and became unemployed due to COVID. But all that changed when he was getting no job offered, no job opportunities, and decided to apply those sales skills to wholesaling. I would describe our guest as someone who is relatable and a go-giver. I want to introduce you all to the one, the only, Alec Schaal.
What's
Alec,
up? What's up,
how's it
bro?
going, man?
Thanks for having me, man. It's an honor to be on your podcast.
It is an honor to have you, man. So before we jump into it, brother, can you briefly give our audience a background about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, I am 26 years of age. I graduated college in 2019. And I got a sales job in sports. So I was selling like season tickets, luxury boxes, like all that stuff. Kind of related my passion of sports and ended up working in sales. I didn't know I wanted to do sales before then. And I did that for 2019. And then I was doing that for the beginning of 2020. And if you remember, it's been 3 years now, which is crazy actually. But if you remember early 2020, Ruby Gobert gets COVID, NBA shuts down, and then MLB shuts down, and all sports shut down, and then the world shuts down, right? So, there's nothing to sell. I was selling season tickets and seating for an MLB team in Miami, and there's no more, games. There's nothing to sell. So, they had us around for another couple months, and then they had to let go of the sales department. So I was then unemployed, working from a job I really liked to unemployed, along with a lot of people during COVID. So I was trying to figure out like what I wanted to do and, a lot of free time. So, ended up finding wholesaling, a couple of different, ways, but ended up finding it through, podcasts like Wholesaling and all that stuff. And about September, October of 2020, that's when I started. And it's been over 2.5 years now, I guess, and haven't looked back since. It's been a journey, a lot of ups and downs, but I've enjoyed my time.
Nice. Man, I have heard that a lot, that sometimes that we're pushed into our destinies. Like, you had that job. I was in a similar position. I come from a sales background, a sales executive, worked for a great company, was the top producer, top 3%. Then all of a sudden they changed CEOs, and he changed his sales staff, his project managers, and just like that, like 750 of us were out of a job. So, Alec, sometimes those can be blessings in disguise. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. And I look back and I try to like think about my life, like if COVID never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know where I would be. It definitely wouldn't be right here though, you know. So it was definitely, COVID was obviously a not a good thing for a lot of people, but it was definitely one of the best things that happened to me when it comes to a, business and just life standpoint, where I really changed the trajectory of my life. So very appreciative where I am now. And, it's definitely been a big change of pace these past couple of years.
Nice, understood. Now, before we dive into the steps on how to wholesale with the right mindset in today's market, Alec, you contribute a lot of your success to your ability to be consistent and stay disciplined and not let bad days turn into bad weeks. Why do you think this has played such a huge role in your success?
Yeah, so I mean, if anybody wholesales or is listening to this in wholesales or is getting into wholesaling, if you're getting into wholesaling, then just set expectations that not every day is a good day, right? Not every month is a good month, but in the long run, those days they get made up for with good days. So it's a roller coaster. All sales jobs are. So, some days you're not getting contracts, some days you're getting multiple contracts. But if you just stay consistent with it, you keep like a good mindset, with gratitude and you take some time off, but you just stay consistent and you just always work and work. It all gets made up for in the end. And I'm passionate about that. I mental health is a big thing for me. And it's a journey. It really is. It's a roller coaster, but if you stay at it, it'll all make up for itself.
Indeed, absolutely, 100%. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. What if you were just getting started again, what would be some of the things you would tell yourself knowing the things that you know now?
Yeah, so I mean, luckily I had sales experience, so maybe I had like nine-ish months of sales experience before starting. And I've always been a big like podcast guy and YouTube guy. I'm not a big book reader. I don't know if I just have like the worst ADHD or what, but I love podcasts and everything like that. So I learned from a lot of people about like the mindset in sales. So I understood going into it and then through my other sales jobs that it wasn't like an overnight thing. You have to stay with it. You have to build a pipeline. For example, like the average deal we close is 3 months of follow-up, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure, it's similar for you as well. So it's just staying with it. But you know, getting started, the mindset is just don't expect overnight results, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
meet people all the time and they're like, "Hey, I've been doing this for 2 weeks. I don't have a deal yet." And I'm like, "Bro, it took me 3 months to get my first deal."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? My first contract, I had to cancel it because it wasn't a deal. I didn't know I didn't know what I was doing. So it took me a few months too. And as soon as you kind of get the hang of it, then the ball will start rolling when you build the pipeline. But just don't expect overnight results. Like you see on TikTok and all these videos of, hey, I just got this deal and I made $10,000 in 30 days, and it's like, bro, those people aren't even telling you like the true story, like what happened, you know? So it's really just stay at it. Don't get discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get a contract the first week. And in my opinion, I know this is a long point, but in my opinion, I think the people that it takes longer to get a contract for or get their first deal
Mm-hmm.
are in a way in a better situation than those that it takes shorter. And what I mean by that is, let's say you get your first deal a week in, you're going in with the expectation that it's going to be consistently like that, right? Where the guy
100%.
it takes 3 months, 5 months, whatever it takes, that guy, and he's still working at it 5 months in. That guy is going to be way, first of all, way more appreciative of that first deal. Second
Mm-hmm.
of all, he's built so much like fortitude in those 5 months. Like that guy, in my opinion, will outwork that guy who got the deal in their first week. And just has a lot more momentum with him.
Mm-hmm.
And probably a better pipeline too. I don't know if that point makes sense, but that's my opinion. I always think about that.
Man, coming from a sales background such as myself, what you're saying makes clear sense. It makes perfect sense because this is a business that it's a marathon. It's yes, you can have quick wins, of course, but you want to be in it for the long haul because the majority of our business in wholesaling, 100%, I'd say 85% comes from follow ups. You're only going to get those laydowns on the with one or two calls. That's going to be very rare, guys. It's not something that you should expect or build or strive to build your business around. Build it around the expectations that Alec is actually talking about. And I'm really glad that you're making these points because we don't hear that a lot. And this is no knock on anyone that's out there, but a lot of times people do make it kind of seem a little easier than it actually is. And like you said, you'll hear people that say, hey, I've been doing this for 3 weeks. I'm quitting. It's too long. It's too much. No deals yet. You're like, what? 3 weeks?
Hmm.
Like, come on, you gotta be in it for a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 3 weeks is nothing, you know?
So what would be the first step that someone would need to take if they're wanting to get started right now? They're out there listening to this podcast. They're like, man, I like what Alec is saying. I'm relating to that. I want to get started right now. I'm out of work, or I do have a job. Whatever the case is, what would be the first step that someone needs to do to join our business, which is wholesaling?
Sure. So, I mean, I tell people this all the time whenever they ask me. And I've made a lot of mistakes like my wholesaling journey, but one thing I wouldn't change is how I got started. So I'll tell you exactly how I got started and how I recommend anybody listening to this, especially if you're new to get started. And I think the best way is to work yourself. Driving for dollars, skip
Mm-hmm.
tracing that list, cold calling. That's how I did it. And that's how I got my first, 4 deals, 5 deals, was doing that. So, get some of those apps that are out there, whatever ones you want to use and just start driving and you gotta put some time into it. It's gonna require some hustle, it's gonna require some work, but if you want it, then it's out there to get. Especially with the market changing, a lot of people are leaving the business. A lot of people are saying that there's no deals out there, but
Mm-hmm.
there are, right? It's just you have to be more creative. You have to put in a little bit more sweat equity into getting the deals. So if you can drive for dollars and get these lists that, aren't on these lists that everybody's pulling, right? Because everybody's
Mm-hmm.
pulling the same lists.
Yep.
You can get these deals that not everybody's marketing to, and if you could do that and stay consistent with it, it's not even like if, it's when, and it's just a numbers game. So I would say driving for dollars, cold calling. I'm a big fan of cold calling. It's like my inner like inside sales cold calling. But I mean, I still think it works, right? And that's what my business right now is consisted of is cold calling.
Man, Alec, you are speaking, man. You are preaching to the choir, man. Because let me tell you, I literally was just talking to a student of mine yesterday about driving for dollars and about how important it is because of the things that you just said. Those are exclusive lists because you're putting eyes on it. It's not a list you're pulling from batch leads or from prop stream. It's a lead, it's a deal that you're actually going out. It's an exclusive list. So you got to understand it from that perspective. Even if you do decide to pull lists, guys, pull the lists that are harder to get. Don't just go to a service that's selling lists because everyone and their grandma can buy that same list. You've got to be, like Alex said, a little more creative nowadays. The deals are absolutely happening every day. I promise you. If you don't believe that, you won't get the deals. But I promise you, there's deals happening every day. Me and Alec can attest to it. We know that they're happening daily because we're participating in them, or either we know folks who are knocking them down. So don't get discouraged, guys. When the market shifts, it just means you need to shift your mindset.
Yeah, for sure. And off market's still like in my opinion, off market's the best way, but there's a lot of deals on market. If you are working a job and you don't have time to drive for dollars and do all
Mm-hmm.
this cold calling, like there's people that have their hands raised that are actively selling their houses, right? On
Mm-hmm.
these on market deals. Like look at these listings that have been listed over 60 days, over 90 days. Call these realtors and just make offers. You never know. Um, somebody might accept the offer, even if let's say somebody's listed their house for 300, they got a million offers at 200, but it's been
Mm-hmm.
90 days and you're the next person to offer 200, maybe they'll accept it. You never know. So if you're busy, you can't drive for dollars. If you're like listening to this and be like, hey, I work a W-2, I don't have time for that. Like I have kids, look on the MLS, look at for sale by owners as well. Like there's deals there. I know people that completely like pivoted their business to that. But on the off market side, driving for dollars is of course the best in my opinion.
Off market, definitely the best. Alec, I'm one of those folks who pivoted to on market myself. So I would definitely agree that on market, guys, that's another mindset thing. There's a ton of deals on market. That's where the majority of real estate transactions are happening, and it's for a reason. Just because it's on market does not mean that it is not a deal. When you learn how to read the numbers, how to run numbers, when you understand what a deal is, how to run comps, then you will definitely understand how to take advantage of the MLS. And one quick thing I want to add to that: don't let the factor that there is a realtor involved intimidate you. Don't let yourself not take action because you say, man, I'm not sure what I would even do if the realtor accepts my offer. I don't know how to send an offer. It's very simple, guys. It's very simple. You fail your way forward. That's what you do. So,
Yeah.
Alec, let me ask you something, brother. You're giving some great points. What type of budget would someone need to have? Like if they're driving for dollars, do they need like a tool to drive for dollars? Are you suggesting, or can they just write down these numbers and go home and and skip trace them, or peoplesearch.com them? What should they do?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, regarding True People Search, I still use that. People brag on it, but I still use it. Like if I'm trying to find like an individual and I don't feel like putting into a skip tracer, I use it and it's pretty accurate. It is pretty accurate. It's just a little bit more work to do. But I mean, how I got started, right? And just going back to like my journey was I was unemployed. I was living in Miami at the time. I couldn't afford rent anymore, so I actually had to move back in with my mom. So I was living with my mom in like a small 2-2 condo,
Mm-hmm.
and I was didn't have anything going on for me at that time. And that's when I decided to start wholesaling. I had maybe 2,000 bucks in my bank account, and that's like generous.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I wasn't paying rent and or anything back then, but I didn't have money. So I just had to, I think I like Deal Machine, whatever software you recommend is there. There's a lot out there like PropStream, Deal Machine, but I use Deal Machine. I still use Deal Machine,
Mm-hmm.
and I just drove for dollars and I cold called from my mom's condo. Um, like I set up a table in her laundry room and I would just cold called from her laundry room like 9 hours a day, you know? Um, but you don't need a lot of money. I started with literally no money. $2,000 to my name and I started and got the ball rolling. And my first, took me 3 months to get a deal. The first deal I made 2,000 bucks on, the next deal I made, 20, and then the next deal I made 13. So, the ball started rolling after that, but um you don't need a lot of money if you can put time into it. If you don't have time or money, it's gonna be you're a little bit of a disadvantage, but you could do it. Like you can do it. It may just take you a little bit longer. You may have to network with more people and work with more people,
Mm-hmm.
which is another great way of doing deals is networking with people. But yeah, I mean, whatever your budget consists of, you can get it done for sure.
Nice, nice. So were you cold calling or were you sending out mailers, or was it majority cold calling?
Yeah, I mean, I've sent out mailers like 3 times in my life, and um, I got like maybe like 6 callbacks from.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I sent out like a couple thousand, got maybe 6 callbacks, and they were all or like 3 callbacks, whatever I got, and it was just people yelling at me. It was just so expensive back then. I mean,
Yeah.
I could afford it, but I stick with cold calling and texting. That's
Mm-hmm.
just what I like, and then also like a lot of referrals from like social media and JVs and everything. So I just stick with what like I'm good at.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, a lot of people find success with mailers. I never did, unfortunately. I just didn't stay consistent with it though. But I mean, I was cold calling when I first got started, like my first 6 months before I hired my first cold calling VA, I was cold calling 8 to 9 hours a day, just in a little laundry room, just there at a little table, just cold calling all day and watching like YouTube videos in the background between calls. Like that's all I did. I was just like, man, I'm gonna make this work.
That that is dedication. Folks, are you hearing this? Listeners, ladies, gentlemen, whatever. Are you guys listening to this? This is what it takes to make it. You've got to it's like one of my mentors, Tom Kroll, says, you got to almost act like someone has kidnapped your family and you're not getting them back until you get a deal. If you don't approach this with focus, it's going to take longer. Your runway of success is going to be shortened, and you're just going to get frustrated. You have to be dedicated day in and day out, just like Alec was, and that's why he's seeing the success that he's seeing. Man, I love that you're pointing these things out, and you're talking about, hey, I was in a laundry room all day for 8 hours, 9 hours, so that our listeners out here can hear what it actually takes. But it's so worth it, right? It was so worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked back since. I'm still, wholesaling and still doing real estate. to this day. So it's been a life-changing moment, and it took a lot of work. Like, I'm not gonna like act like, hey, I was cold calling in there 9 hours a day. Like, was I always happy? Like, no. Like, was I depressed some days? Like, yeah, of course. Like, that shit was, sorry if I curse, but like,
You're good.
that was exhausting. I don't think I could do that now. Like, I think I had way more hustle back then than I do now, which it's kind of sad, but like, it is what it is. But man, like, there was a lot of ups and downs, but in the
Mhm.
end, like, I stayed consistent with it, and it was a lot of work. It really was, but I'm glad I put in that time. Like, current me is appreciative of past me, and future me hopefully is appreciative of current me.
Exactly, exactly. And Alec touched on something a little bit earlier. He said that he didn't hire a VA until maybe 6 months in or so, and that's important, guys. The reason why I say that's important is because he understood the business. He actually understood what to look for, what to say to his VAs, what to train his VAs, what those type of things are important. If you are just getting started and you just go out there and try to find the cheapest VA that you can to do business for you, it's just going to be a waste of money. You're going to spend money. You're going to go through a number of VAs over and over and over. You're going to keep trying to retrain them and get them into some type of a system if you have one. Guys, that can be a headache. So you just want to make sure that you are in the spot. Like when Alec just said he doesn't think he could do that now with the 8 hours of cold calling a day, it's because he's moved on to a different phase of his business where he has VAs. And that's important, you guys. You need to understand and identify where you are at in your phase of the business. But if you are at the very beginning and you are going to get a virtual assistant, ensure that you get a highly trained professional virtual assistant that's going to be dedicated to your business's success and you guys making more money, because that's what it's all about. And if you are looking for a VA like that, make sure you take a look down in the link. I've got a company for you, my company, REI World Solutions. We are the number one virtual assistant source out there, and we can help you guys. So make sure you take a look. Now, Alec, let me ask you, brother, if you could go back and make some changes, like I know that you said you wouldn't do anything any different, but if you could make some changes to, let's say, your hiring of that VA, what would you have done differently? Or do you have the same VA that you started with?
Yeah, so I love the VA conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like 7 VAs now in my real estate business.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have other VAs in my other businesses. I
Mm-hmm.
love virtual assistants. I love Filipinos. I have Indian VAs, I have Mexican VAs, throughout, a bunch of businesses I have, but I love VAs. Hardworking people. I've hired Americans. Um, and I don't want to ever hire Americans again. You know, I don't like Americans. Um, you could get 3 VAs for the price of one American. But regarding like your point when you were talking, and I don't know if I'm even answering the question, but I think a lot of people get VAs too quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't know how to train their VAs. They'll get a cold calling VA before they've cold called. Oh, they're like, oh, I'm too good for cold calling. I'm gonna get VA. Then they
Mm-hmm.
get a VA that cold calls, and their VA that cold calls doesn't know how to cold call, real estate. They don't train them, and then 2 months later they fired their VA. How many times have you seen that? Like, a
100,
million times,
100 million times.
Yeah, so it's like, man, do one of two things. Like, please do one of two things. If you're looking at getting a VA, this is my best advice for VAs, is one, like, learn the business,
Mm-hmm.
before you get one, right? So I got my first VA after I did like 3 or 4 deals, cold called consistently for 6, 7 months before I got my first VA. I
Mm-hmm.
was a cold calling pro, 6 months in. Like, I think you become a master like 3 or 4 months in if you stay consistent with it. So 6 months in, I could train anybody to cold call. So I was
Amen.
able to train my VA to be absolute killers on the cold calling. All my VAs are, monsters cold calling. I got so lucky with all my VAs. My first VA, my first person I ever hired, she's still with me, 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
She's still with me. I love her. She's amazing. Her daughter-in-law works for me too. So I love my VAs. Majority of them are Filipino, but sorry, the first thing is, do it before you hire so you can train it. The second thing is, if you don't want to do that, don't just hire a VA off of Upwork and, oh, they did real estate cold calling before, like, I'll just hire them. Like, go through a company like what Shaun has, or just go through a company that can walk you through that process more. And then that way you can be more hands off because they'll handle, the training and the onboarding and all of that. I think those are the two best solutions for, hiring a VA, if you're early on. Um, I don't even know what the question was. I think
No,
you asked
you've answered
first.
it. You've
Okay,
answered it.
cool.
Yeah, you've answered
But
it, man.
yeah, I got so lucky with all my VAs, man. Like my VAs are all amazing. And if you don't have a VA, and you've been wholesaling for, a good amount of time and you've done deals, you need to get one because it's like the biggest time hack, right?
100%. Now, Alec, do you act as the acquisitions for your company and dispositions, or do you have folks in place for that also?
Yeah, so I'll give you a quick rundown of my business. So I have 7 VAs in my real estate business. A lot of my colleagues and friends, especially in my local market, we all started, with the people I started with around the same time. They all went the, office with American acquisition route. And being around them, I was doing the same thing. I went the American acquisition route, was
Mhm.
gonna get an office or do it virtually. And I hired my first American, and I realized that I hated it. Americans are one, expensive, and two,
Mhm.
you know, does just because they're American doesn't mean like they're closers, even if they worked other sales jobs. So, and then the third thing is, I'm sure you've seen it, maybe experienced it, but and all my buddies that started with their businesses, now all their American acquisition guys have their own businesses, right?
Mhm.
So, you're just training your competition, which is okay, right? But I didn't want to do that. So I realized after I hired my first one, I let him go and I just wanted to build a fully VA business. So I still work in my business. And honestly, I enjoy working my business. Everybody likes to preach, oh, delegate everything as soon as you can, like, don't work at all. Like, and like I don't mind working, right? And I delegated enough, so I'm not working a lot, right? So I
Mhm.
have my cold calling VAs, and then I have two texting VAs. They get the leads, they send it to the CRM, and then I have I have one lead manager VA, and then one of my cold calling VAs, she jumps into lead manager when my lead manager gets overwhelmed. So she's kind of like a hybrid.
Okay.
But 1.5 lead managers, and then they follow up with the leads. They're the first contact for new leads. They're really good on the phones. And then once a lead, gives a price that is decent or has motivation of selling soon or is open to, seller financing or whatever, then they send it to me. And I make, maybe 10 to 20 calls a day or every other day. Spend a couple hours making those calls. And that's really all I'm working with in my business is just like 2, maybe 3 hours just calling those leads. So I'm still acquisitions, I'm still dispositions. I sell the deals a lot to like my network. So, and I do a lot of JVs too. Like, so people bring buyers to my deals, but I still do acquisitions and dispositions. And I don't mind at all. I really don't mind. So I think I have a obtainable business where it's not too overwhelming and I'm still in it, but I enjoy being in it, right?
Nice, nice. You mentioned a CRM, which is a customer relationship management tool. What CRM do you use?
I use Investor Fuse.
Okay.
Um, and it's a good CRM. So I think with CRMs, there's like Podio and all that. I'm not sure what do you use for your CRM? Use
We use
Podio?
Podio. Yep, we use
Okay.
Podio. It's a special. We had one specially made for us, for me and my students.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. So if you are looking for a CRM, get Shaun CRM because one of the big things is a lot of people that get the free Podio or the free whatever, and
Hmm.
then they try to build it out themselves and they spend way too much time and energy and it sucks, right?
Yep.
I have a pre-built CRM, like it's built for wholesalers. So,
Hmm.
Shaun, if you have one, jump onto that because he's already using it. His students are using it. Like it works, right? Don't waste time building a CRM. Just pay, a few $100s a month, whatever it is, just to get it. I don't think it's worth the time to build one out if there's already one pre-built.
Great advice. Great advice. Alec, what are you doing right now in the current shift of the market? Has your business changed at all from this point last year?
Yeah, so straight up, I'm definitely doing less deals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are scared to say that. I'm really not, it is what it is. I'm doing less deals than I was, but it's still early. We're
Mm-hmm.
2 months in.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten maybe like 4 deals under contract so far this year, so two a month, I guess, which is decent.
Mm-hmm.
I've had like three closings so far, but they've been from leads from last year. So I'm still doing deals. Last year, let's say I hit like 500,000. This year, am I? Probably not, but it's okay because I'm transitioning my business to doing other things. So I'm doing a lot of JVs. So through social media, people DMing me deals and JVing it with them. I've helped a lot of people do their first deal. And I do that. And then I'm also doing a lot more creative financing. So far I've done two creative financing deals, and I know you're a big creative guy as well, which is
Mm-hmm.
cool. But I've done one in St. Louis, which hopefully praying that it's closing this week because that deal's been a little bit of a headache. But I just got another one in Tampa under contract, and then later today I'm actually going to another one in West Palm that we already agreed on creative terms. So I'm
Nice.
transitioning my business to creative. My goal this year is to not really leave wholesale. But to do more cash flow. I want cash flow. That's my, it's not a regret. More of, I don't really know what the word would be because I don't regret it at all. But
Mm-hmm.
my biggest like error, I guess, was not buying properties. I just flipped
Sooner.
everything. I don't have a lot of cash flow. I don't have a lot of rentals. I don't have a lot of that, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what I want. So this year is the year of cash flow for me. That's what I'm really focusing my energy on.
Nice, nice. And it sounds like with some of these creative opportunities, man, that you're headed right in the right direction. So you may, like you say, take a small step back in the in the terms of how much revenue you may generate from wholesaling or from your real estate business, but it's going to catapult and skyrocket and move way past what it was. So it's just a temporary like step backwards so that you can get running in the direction where you're headed now, which is in, like you say, in the creative realms, because this is where the market is has moved us.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, with these subject to opportunities with these low interest rates and not a lot of equity, like it's just a pot that's, going to be boiling over soon. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities. So just got to figure out and adjust and, figure out ways to maximize that and get rentals and cash flow.
100%, 100%. Alec, man, what do you think your life would be like if you never found real estate, man?
Man, I think about that all the time. And it's crazy because like on social media, like my posts now are like real estate posts. Like it's almost like like you see those memes about like a guy that goes to the gym and then his whole personality is the gym. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
is my whole personality real estate? Like it low-key is.
It
Like
is.
I got into this business and just made it my whole personality. Not really though, obviously joking. But I mean, I genuinely don't know. I think about it sometimes. Would I still be with, the MLB team? Would I still be living in Miami? Would I still be selling season tickets? Like if COVID never happened, would I still be making, 30, 40K a year? Like who knows? It's so hard to predict. Like it's been 3 years, 2.5 years, whatever. And I don't know. I really don't know, but I know I wouldn't be where I am now. I definitely wouldn't be as successful. I think this was, the path for me, and COVID just was was like the changing pivoting point, I guess. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where I'd be.
Got it, man. Great answer, brother. Well, we have reached the part of the show that I call the rapid fire session. This is where I'm going to ask you a question, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay, let's do
All,
it.
all right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how strict were your parents?
So I've had divorced parents. Wow, this is like I'm supposed to answer rapidly. I'm like giving a whole explanation. But my parents were divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was the strict household and my dad was like the less strict one.
Mm-hmm.
So mom's maybe, 8, 7.
Mm-hmm.
Dad's, no offense to my dad, he's a great guy, but like 4 or 5. You
Gotcha.
know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Get up early or stay up late?
Oh man, I wish I was an early guy. I force myself to be an early guy, but I'm a late guy for sure. But I've been trying to change it these past couple of years.
How many hours of sleep do you get each night?
Ideally like 8.
Okay.
I need my 8 hours. I don't know how people do 6 hours of sleep. I'm literally dying throughout the day. So I mean I go to bed at like 10, wake up at like 6, 7, but
Hmm.
sometimes I go to bed at 11, wake up at 8, 9. It is what it is.
Indeed, indeed. Favorite or last book read?
Oh man. Um, Probably $100 million offers. Alex Hermosi.
Okay.
Last book read. I'm still reading it, but yeah, really good book. Big Alex Hermosi guy.
Hmm.
Favorite book. I mean, Rich Dad Poor Dad is a good book. All those entry level real estate books are solid. Um, regard mindset books, Go Giver. The Energy Bus is a good one.
Hmm.
Um, you know, that's a lot of them. You asked me for one,
Some
but
great books, some great books, brother.
yeah.
If you could be any superhero, who would it be?
Oh man. Um, fuck, what's his name? I don't know. I'll go with like Batman.
Okay.
Like Batman. He's just I mean he's rich. Maybe I want to be rich too, but
Hmm.
he doesn't have any superpowers. My guy is just working. He's the best superhero. Batman's the best. So Batman,
Okay.
Batman just for his work ethic.
Nice. Something everyone should do less of.
Complain.
S-
Complain for sure. I mean, even I mean, I used to be a big complainer back in like college and stuff.
mhm.
I would always be complaining, and now like I catch myself before I start complaining. It's just change your mindset to it. Figure out ways to be, grateful for everything that you can be. Complaining just ruins mindsets, really.
Indeed, indeed. All right. Something everyone should do more of.
Enjoy life for sure. I mean, like and I don't know what the vibe is from this podcast if like I'm giving off like this, hustle Gary V vibe or whatever. But I mean, like hustle culture, like it's good. Like I've been a part of it, but man, like don't get stuck in it. Like enjoy life, like do other stuff. Like everybody's like, no, you should just spend your 20s and 30s just working, 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 become rich, become rich. It's like, man, like yeah, do that, but like, it comes to a point where it's like, man, you're just gonna, drive yourself into a hole. Like enjoy life, like go on trips. My goal is to
Indeed.
travel more this year. Like I really want to travel. That's why I want cash flow to travel and make money. So enjoy life. Don't be scared to take breaks. Go on walks. Do stuff you enjoy.
100%. 100%. All right. AI technology, scary or the way of the future?
Oh man, I love AI technology. I wasn't sure if you're asking me about Bitcoin because I listened to another one you asked about Bitcoin. I don't like Bitcoin, and one of my biggest things I'm happy about is
Hmm.
never getting into Bitcoin. I'm so happy I never did because I almost did like 2 years ago at this time, early 2021. Remember everybody was on Bitcoin.
Yep.
Sorry. But AI, I love AI. I've been using it for my real estate business and I use it for my YouTube channel. I started a new YouTube channel, like a YouTube automation,
Hmm.
and I have the AI write the scripts for it, and then I have the AI narrate it. So,
Nice.
yeah, I love AI. AI is amazing. I am a pro member of Chat GBT, which is like $20 a month. I'm like,
Okay.
yo, I love this platform. So I use it all the time. Love AI.
Nice. Nice, man. I like that idea about the automations with the YouTube and having it speak for you and all that stuff, not narrate
Yeah, man,
everything.
it is the coolest thing. If anybody's listening to this and you haven't played around with ChatGPT, just the stuff that you can have it do is insane. Like you can say, write me a script for this, and then it'll write you a script. Write me a script for this, but talk about this more and emphasize this point. And it will,
Hmm.
It's crazy, man. It's
Indeed.
crazy.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. Alec, man, what are your final thoughts you want to share with our listeners out there?
Um, I mean, just stay consistent with it. If you're new into this business, stay consistent. Don't see everybody on social media posting all this success. I know so many, and we spoke about this off camera, but we both know so many people that post on social media with all these checks and deals and stuff, and they're not even doing deals. Like, I know these people. I know these
100%.
people. And I'm in Miami. I live in Fort Lauderdale. It's like the Miami metropolitan, South Florida, whatever. And man, Miami is like the guru hub, like everybody down here is a guru, but man, these guys, they're not doing deals. I know people leaving wholesale to sell education, and they're selling education, they're not even wholesaling anymore. Like, it's crazy, man. Not everybody you see online is actually having success. Don't trust everything you see online. That's my biggest takeaway. Don't compare yourself. I compared myself a lot, and I use comparison as like I'm very competitive. So I use comparison to be competitive. Like, this guy's doing deals, why am I not? Right. But you don't know if they're doing deals. So comparison is a thief of joy. My favorite quote. Everybody's heard that quote, but it's a great quote. And don't trust everything you see. Stay in your own lane, and stay consistent with it, and I promise, like, results will come. Right.
Comparison is a thief of joy, man. I love that quote. I love that quote.
Yeah, my favorite quote.
Alec, how can our audience reach you and get more information on what you're doing?
Yeah, so the best way, I'm on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on everything. It's just my first name underscore last name. So Alec underscore Schaal, Schaal. Follow me, DM me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And I post a lot on like YouTube and stuff too, like, how to get started. I post my calls. I do a lot of stuff. So definitely let's connect. And would love to be in touch with anybody.
Perfect. And we'll drop some links down in the description as well, so you guys can connect with Alec. Man, Alec, I want to thank you for coming on today's show and sharing so much valuable information with our audience, man. You've been amazing.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And to our listeners, you guys have made it to the end of the show. So give yourselves a pat on the back, because most people never finish what they start, and you just did. Now, if you guys got any value out of today's show, please share this with a friend or on your Facebook page. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and send us topics that you want to learn more about. So until the next episode, you can catch me on any one of my social media platforms. I'll see you guys on the other side.
With this crown on my head, I'm seated on the throne. The top is so alone. Only thing that keeps me going is I know my city love me. I know my city love me. I know my city love me. I know my city love me.